And welcome to Otaku Drive Channel. I am Jim Gogol.
I'm Sir, not appearing in this episode.
Again.
I'm Sara.
And welcome again to our wonderful, wonderful world of Otaku Drive Time. So, in this episode, we're going to be talking about...
Stuff.
Of course, lots of stuff.
Yay!
And things.
Jeanie and Jim and I have a conversation about recent Idol Pop news.
And Phil Thomas, myself, and Z are going to be talking about Age of Ultron. It's part one in a three-part series that we're going to be doing, where we look at various aspects of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., its interaction with Age of Ultron, and the character development and the characterizations inside the Age of Ultron.
It is the Otaku Drive Time Radiomatic Marvel.
Yes, and that's going to be a really interesting topic of discussion going on for a while now. Yes, it's nice. We're going to have a continuing series of stuff. Ooh, we can do that with segments. Yes, we can.
As long as we don't stay on Namek for too long.
Yes. All right, with that, let's kick this off. Let's send you guys off to Idol Talk.
Hello.
Hello. Long time no see.
I know, right?
So you've been on hiatus for a while, Jeanie.
It's unofficial, but we have the newest cast member who she's going to take a while to get up to speed. So I've been busy training her in the ways of podcasting or something.
So you two are here to talk about something very dear to my heart.
Idols.
Yay!
Where Sara is into boys, Jeanie is into the
That might not be the best way to put
that. my hand on my forehead now?
Oh, every one of those moments where you're sticking your foot in your mouth and chewing.
Well, anyway, Sara is our expert on the D2 group. Mm-hmm. And...
Sometimes I wonder if I should still be referring to it that way because if you remember a couple years ago, I came to talk about how they merged with the main D-Boys group. So I still like referring to them as D2 because they're still sort of a unit, but...
do the fans still kind of do that too?
Yeah.
Then it still exists, regardless of what management would like to say. And I would love to say, I used to be able to say I was an expert in Hello Project, but wow, since things changed around here, things have changed a lot at Hello Project too. They added like 20-some new girls.
Oh, wow.
They've got one group that made their major debut this spring. They've got two more that are waiting to debut. Barry's Kobo graduated. Half of Barry's Kobo is busy managing or otherwise partaking in, overseeing the activities of these new groups. Dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. Yeah. That is basically where we are. And...
Yeah, and from when we started following Morning Musume, there's no one left.
Wow.
Yep. The last member of the Morning Musume that we started following, Michishige Sayumi, graduated last November. And the group that was just debuting when we really started getting into idol fandom, Cute, released their 10th anniversary commemorative single this spring. They're doing a Q-To wordplay pun 9 into 10 years event this year.
Historically, isn't 10 the kiss of death of a Hello Project group?
Kinda, sorta, yeah. Melon Kinenbi, when they hit the 10-year mark, released an album called Melon's Not Dead, and then what do you know, they disbanded.
Oh, no.
So the album was kind of a lie. And then Barry's produced a single, it was last summer, where one of the songs was titled, Normally People Don't Get to Be Idols for 10 Years, right?
Oh.
Which was a kind of a hint. And then people were saying, no, it'll never happen. And it did. Big surprise.
And didn't they get rid of all of at Hello Project itself's 10th anniversary? Didn't they?
Yeah, shortly after Hello Project celebrated its 10th anniversary. Yay! They decided to take a lot of the girls who had graduated from Morning Musume, a lot of the girls in the older groups, and just decide, you're not in Hello Project anymore. You're going to be off under a different label doing different things. So 10 years in Hello seems to be the...
Kiss of death?
Yeah.
I wonder if that 10 years, though, is a kind of general thing, though, because the D-Boys D2 merge was at the D-Boys 10-year mark. D2, I don't think, had been around quite that long yet. But
Really?
Yeah.
That would also put Perfume on the
Trouble
approaching
list.
their trouble list too, because they're about 10 years.
Yeah, they're celebrating that this year. But then again, they're a 3-person unit. They're not part of a giant stable of guy and girl groups just waiting to be trained up and replace them.
Yeah, I mean, I can see, not to be mean to both male and female idols, but, when you hit your mid-20s,
Yeah.
Yeah,
you're not boy sexy or girl sexy. Or girl cute, little girl cute. You guys, you know what I'm talking about.
I
Kinda, sorta.
Sort
But I'll
of.
tell
I
you what.
kind of feel like on the boys' side, that's like right when they're hitting that point, though. Well, because all these boys get pulled into the tokusatsu.
From the late teens to...
Yeah.
Actually, Gokai Red was one of the oldest Rangers I think we've seen, or Sentai members we've seen in quite a while. Mm-hmm. Aside from...
Let's see.
Busters.
Kyoryu Blue was one of the older ones as well.
Yeah, usually they're in their late teens, early 20s when they do that.
Yeah.
Because I just look at it and go, okay, they look like a boy, they look like a boy, look like a boy. And then usually around their mid-20s, they start looking like men.
Well, here's the thing, too. A lot of idols, especially if you're not a top member of a group ending in 48, are going to university while they're doing idol stuff. And that's the case for, a number of the members of Barry's Kobo. It was the case. A number of them graduated college as members of the group. Anjern, Anger Me, the former Smilage. There's a girl who's actually graduating this fall, wants to finish up college after she's done, and then move on to be a lyricist.
Oh, interesting.
Which, it's interesting to see how Hello Project seems to be giving a lot of former members jobs within the company now.
Captain, she's a...
Yeah. Captain from Barry's and Chinami from Barry's are both working in the management of 2 of the brand new groups that are waiting in the wings to debut.
Satoda Mai.
Used to be Country Musume.
Used to be Country Musume. She's married to that Yankee pitcher. She's the producer of Country Girls.
Country Girls, yes. Country Girls debuted this spring 2 months ago and actually cracked the top 10 2 months to the day after their debut streeted, which is weird and unheard of in Japan. You're in the top 10 and you're out. You're done. But then again, nobody's releasing anything because it's AKB Senbatsu Sosenkyo season. Senbatsu elections, where AKB guarantees themselves #1 ranks in the charts for a few weeks.
Sarah, are you familiar with Senbatsu?
Not particularly, but I have heard that they go through elections.
Okay, so the idea is you purchase a copy of their latest single, you get a serial code or whatever to go vote for your favorite member of not just the AKB groups, but SKE, JKT, SNH, HKT, and NMB, SKE. I think I hit everybody. There are a ton of them. There are almost 300 girls. Really, there are 290-something competing in this election this year.
Holy cow.
So you vote for your favorite, and the top 80 get put into one of the 5 squads that are releasing on the single.
Oh.
Which, that I take it as a little underhanded. Because, you know in the first week or so who's going to be on the top.
Because those are the fans that are going to be getting their votes in early.
Although people have been known to groups of fans have been known to hold back their votes until the very last minute. Just to screw with people. But anyway, you've got the girls who are obviously going to be at the top. But if you are one of those 296 girls and your favorite's kind of obscure, you might not need to have too many votes to get number 80 or number 79. Maybe you need 10,000. Maybe you need 4,000. I don't know what the cutoff's going to be. But it's attainable.
Yeah.
So they are just fueling this massive CD selling machine.
Does D2 do something like that? D-Boys D2?
Most people with ethics don't.
I was going to say, not that I know of. So in D-Boys, they mostly focus on acting and not so much music. I have a little bit of music from when D2 did their TVKC project that all 16 of them were doing a Shinsengumi thing and variety show. So there was some music associated with that. But aside from stage production soundtracks, I can't really think of anything where they would
major.
be. Yeah. Their main thing, they have called D stage, and there's actually one running right now. It was either like last week or it didn't run long, but it's called D stage, and they're up to the 16th one right now.
Is that more of a live house show or is it a theater event?
Yeah, it's a theater event. It's a play.
Okay.
So
yeah, Hello Project did Gekihado for a while, and I think they're rebranding that.
So I know that there was a series that's ongoing because the guy who's writing it has this whole overarching story. It's called Trump. The first D stage of Trump, as I just said, D stage. So it was the 16 kids from D2. And then the second one was called Lilium, and that actually had all the Hello Project girls in it. And I just watched it over the weekend because somebody snagged a copy for me. And I'm just like, and they made a whole bunch of like puns with the group names, which was kind of entertaining. The third one in the series,
Was that the vampire one?
Yeah. And the third one in the series is called Spectre, which is starring kids from a group called Patch, which is the equivalent of D-Boys, but in a different region.
Okay.
I haven't watched that one yet, so I don't know a whole heck of a lot about it.
So Patch is kind of like the SKE to the AKB48 sort of thing, where it's different group, different people, different regions.
Yeah.
You may be surprised by this. This is breaking news to me.
Oh.
A couple days old for everybody else. But I know who Chris Jericho probably voted for in the AKB48 Senbatsu elections.
What?
He went on Twitter. His WWE Twitter. Or his Twitter. At I am Jericho, and tweeted, "Hello, Koji Harunyan. Haruna-san, watashi wa nato 7月の WWE 両国国技館大会に招待したいです。Miss Haruna, I want to invite you to WWE show Ryogoku Kokugikan in July."
Well, that's a thing.
Wow.
Yep, Kojima Haruna is Chris Jericho's Oshi.
Whoa. For those in podcast, explain Oshi, please.
Okay. Oshi is the member you're cheering for out of a group.
Okay.
Like the main member you're cheering for. And when you Oshi Hen, you're switching the member you cheer for. So when Sayumi graduated from Morning Musume, a bunch of people had to Oshi Hen if they wanted to continue to follow the group.
Does that word refer to, like, if you're following a girl group or a boy group? Because I want to know if I can use that word to refer to the person I bias in D2.
I'm not in the boy group circles, so I really wouldn't know, but I think
Okay.
people would understand what you were talking about if you tried to use it.
Ah, okay.
That's kind of cool. So,
So that one kind of threw me for a loop.
but that is a really interesting thing to find out. Hey, that ties our wrestling fandoms and our idol fandoms together. That's making it a very small world and very... I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Wait, can I bring it back around?
Sure.
Because you mentioned Twitter. One of the reasons that I wanted to be on this segment is because since the new year, I don't remember when the first one came on, but the D2 boys are getting on Twitter.
That's awesome.
That's
It's
awesome.
really amazing. And it's actually pretty great for me because my Japanese reading comprehension leaves much to be desired. But the Twitter app on my phone has a translator, garbled as it may be sometimes. But I can go on and I can see the kids tweeting, and sometimes they tweet at each other with conversations like I would have with my friends. And it's just really entertaining to watch. But up until this point, they've just had blogs on Amoeba.
Yeah, everybody has an
Everybody
blog.
has.
Hey,
so,
Can you hold that thought for
Oh,
just
sure.
a moment? We got to take a quick break. And we're back from the break. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Sarah, from your train of
that's
thought.
fine.
We just had to take a quick break to, get some words of stuff in. And
Yeah,
Get
this
some
could be
words
a
of
kind
stuff. Words of stuff. That is what we are here to podcast.
yes, words of stuff. And you were talking about the D2 boys
Mm-hmm.
and their Twitter.
And it's kind of a big deal because there are, so one of the boys graduated last December, 2014. So there are 15 kids in the group now, but it's been kind of a big deal because they've been rolling them out just sort of one at a time, almost. And so far, I actually have the list in front of me. There have been 7 so far, and the last 2 were actually within 24 hours of each other.
Okay.
But that was several weeks ago, and I'm kind of trying to figure out what's going on.
It does make sense for them to roll them out staggered.
Yeah.
Because
But it's been, they were pretty evenly spaced-ish, every week or so.
And now they're taking...
There would be, and it's been a couple weeks since the last 2. And the last 2 were within 24 hours of each other. So...
Was there a graduation time in Japan, like school graduation? Was there holidays around this, or?
Well, you had Golden Week at the beginning of May. And then there were a couple of weeks in March where everybody was doing graduations.
Oh.
Of course, beginning of April, everybody's getting back to new school, new work.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least new classes wherever they were. And then, of course, you've got cherry blossom viewings in the middle of all that.
Yeah. But, the 7 that are on, I appreciate, but I'm
Out of how
still
many?
waiting for a couple.
7 out of 15.
7 out of 15?
7
I'm
out of
sorry,
15.
I'm just-
So we're about halfway. And I'm just kind of biding my time.
So the question is, the 7 that have their Twitter, are they the 7 most popular of?
Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4 of them have been in Toku.
Woohoo! So tell me which common writers I can follow.
You can follow the Aqua. You can follow Kamen Rider Aqua. You can follow Enter. And Ultraman Genga. And Jake from Kamen Rider Forze.
Ooh. Okay, this has promise.
I think you showed me a while back a picture of him, Jake, the guy who played Jake.
Yeah.
outside of the Jake costume, and I was like,
I know you.
I know
but
you.
I
Yeah.
don't know you.
Yeah.
Which was one, a testament to how well they did the makeup and characterization of him in Forza, and two, the fact that he can pull it off and look normal, like doesn't look like a stereotype in real life. If you know what I'm saying. For those who followed Forza, Jake was
The party kid.
Yeah. A little flamboyant.
The network. He had the social networking in the school.
So that in itself was a great show in its own day. So how many? Here's a question for you. Do you know how many of those people who have Twitters are actually doing live shows right now? Or
Let's see. So several of them are in the current D stage. Arai Atsushi, who was Kamen Rider Aqua, he's in the D stage. Ookubo Shotaro, who has not been in Toku, was in the D stage. Unfortunately, I don't have that list in front of me at the moment.
Well, we can always put it. You can get that to me, and we can throw it in the show notes, because it's really interesting to see that they're doing the Twitter rollout slowly, and then they've stopped.
Right.
But these are all active people, and
but it's kind of neat following Arai, because as more of the group has come on, he has retweeted something from them, say, like when Jinnai show came on and said, "Hey, I'm on Twitter now, please welcome me." Like, as each of the ones after Arai has come on, Arai has retweeted their first tweet, basically. And so it's been great for me, because then see, oh, this person is on now. I have somebody new to follow.
Which is actually a great way of building followers and building hype for the group and the people involved. So, for those in Podcastia who don't know, Twitter in Japan is insanely useful. Unlike the United States, because you got, of course, what is it, 140 characters?
I think they have another service that they generally use instead of Twitter, which is the other part of why this is such a big deal. Because they're choosing to get on Twitter instead of that. Well,
Twitter gives them a...
several of them are on line.
Line, yeah. Which we have a line.
We do?
Yeah, we have a line.
I should get on there, but I'm not.
If someone wants to take over the line, I'm more than willing.
I had Pong 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 for a while, but they shut that down.
Because Line has an official US app now. But in Japan, Twitter is incredibly useful. I mean, you figure it's 140 characters in the US, which you can't really say much.
It's mind-boggling.
Well, you figure...
Because kanji are basically whole words.
Yeah, whole words. So you can write in 140 characters, you can put, best case, 140 words.
Yeah.
That's a blog entry.
Yeah.
So I can see why the conversations go back and forth. You said... What else do they use? You were saying?
Ookubo was talking about like shoes at one point, and Ookubo and Negishi were going back and forth about sneakers at some point. Shion has been talking about music because he actually plays the guitar.
Mm-hmm. Didn't you say he had a Kamen Rider on his guitar case?
Yeah.
Which one was it?
Tsuchiya Shion.
No. What Kamen Rider was it?
Forza.
Okay. I forgot. I have...
That's okay. No, he's the one that was on for...
Yeah.
He was Jake.
Yeah, I know, but I was like...
But
you know what? It's like you could get someone who is a fan, who was in Wizard and is a fan of Kamen Rider Black.
So the... Oh, right. The one D2 kid who was in Wizard, he's the one I'm waiting on.
Ah.
He's my bias.
Yeah. You're his Oshi. Hey, I didn't think he was bad on the eyes. I didn't like Wizard, but
he was probably the most interesting character. But yeah,
So you were saying he was the most interesting.
He was the most interesting character in Wizard, as far as I'm concerned, and he only showed up halfway through and ended up being the final boss. No, the final mid boss.
So, but yeah, it's interesting to hear. You'll have the list of order of these guys and their Twitter handles to follow. Handles. Yeah, I speak good English. I do have one other thing to say about Twitter. John Prager and I have talked about this numerous times, and same with Brian Spiegel. We've talked about Twitter is only useful as a news aggregator, basically, or if you're following famous people like Justin Bieber or
Chris Jericho.
But you know what I mean. So it's interesting to see that it's giving you a look.
Yeah, see, I don't use Twitter that way at all. I have a few famous people that I follow, but mostly I'm in a follow circle, and so we just use it as a chat room, basically.
Blink. I just completely
Which
blank.
takes up space because you're saying at whoever it is, but it still works. It's easier than getting in an actual chat room because it's an app that everybody has, and somebody starts a conversation and you have something to say and you can just jump in.
Yeah.
Well, there is another app that's like that that's really popular in Japan right now for those kind of chat functions. It's called Line. And
yeah, we were talking about Line.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we met. Yes, we do have a Line now, which is kind of weird. I was looking at the app and it's really not. It's really different than what I was expecting. So
it is really kind of interact with a brand focused or interact with your immediate group of friends.
Okay.
There's not that middle level of organization where you get the Pittsburgh area otaku or whatever that you can do on a Facebook. It's a bit harder to do stuff like that. I did have some non-Hello related J-pop girl news.
Okay, hit me with your best shot.
All right, I'll make this nice and brief. Momoiro Clover is performing at Anime Expo now with special guests Kiss.
Oh,
I heard about that.
I so wish
With
I could
less than 2 months' notice, they throw this out there, and I'm like, guys, really?
I mean,
But
when
the
I
fact
was
that Kiss
when I
is
was-
playing an anime con, and I'm just like,
oh my god,
I
Really?
guess
yeah.
it's not the whole
Really?
band. I guess it's not quite the whole band, but
But I mean, you don't really need the whole band for that. You need Gene Simmons and the one guitarist. That's it.
no.
well, we'll see what ends up happening. It's interesting to see what Momoclo's been doing this year because they've had that wonderful collaboration single with Kiss where both groups perform versions of a title track, and then you've got Momoclo performing Rock and Roll All Night in English.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah,
It
available
was
on.
slightly less of a train wreck orally than Dempagumi Sabotage.
So,
So, yeah, there's that.
Momoclo toured with Kiss before.
Yeah, I believe they did. So it'll be interesting to see them working together again. It's just interesting that it's happening at Anime Expo. So yeah, Anime Expo I think hit or was really close to 100,000 people last year.
I think they broke it, actually.
Yeah, it's gotten a lot bigger since we were there when it was already gigantic. I don't know if you remember, Jim, well, of course you remember. There was a giant dealer space, and then there was a giant other hangar-like space in this convention center that they had a lot of they had the Morning Musume Lives, and they had a number of main events in there. Well, I think that's all vendors space now because they've talked about how much their vendors room has expanded this year.
Well, with the number of attendees they have, they can
gotta.
afford to do that.
They not only can afford to, but they've gotta to have somewhere for all those people to be. And we were talking about where concerts are going to be. This is going to be at the Nokia Theater, which is where AKB performed. I think they're going to have an easier time filling it than AKB did. The way AX does things is they have a paid ticket system where you can pay to get priority seating at shows that you want to see, like the cosplay or the AMVs. And then anybody else can be in a standby line. So, like for Morning Musume, the front third of the auditorium
Was paid ticketing, and everybody else was...
following along with the rest of us in the front who were mad about what was going on. Like, in a good way. So, yeah. logistically speaking, I don't think that'll be the issue. I think Reg is going to be their challenge again.
Well, if they're going to have to move 100,000 people, that's a whole other bag of worms. You got to figure they're going to get hit with all the, as Prager once said, they're going to get hit with all the Kiss fans that come out just to see Kiss.
Maybe. If you're a Kiss fan, you kind of have to weigh the benefits against the
100,000 screaming otaku.
Although, AX is pretty chill.
Yeah, they are pretty chill, so I can't fault
And
them.
it's a delightful show to go visit, and I imagine it's probably still much the same way. Because you can wander around the dealer's room for several hours, you can go to Little Tokyo, and then you can come back.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, and it's like 50 cents on a local circulator bus. But anyway, in less good news, there is a solo artist, solo idol, who's been active for a while. Her name is Maruyama Karin. Unfortunately, she lost her battle with lung cancer.
Oh, no.
Just recently.
Oh, man.
So there has been a lot of press about that, and apparently she has had lung cancer the entire time she has been doing this idol thing.
Wow.
So I guess for her it's very much living a dream, and I imagine for her fans that would have been a very different experience than most idol groups. So that's been a big piece of news.
I
in
do
the scene
have
this
another,
week.
I have a less sad but sad piece of news. Mm-hmm. Nothing can be as sad as an idol passing away, but what's her name? Mono Arena.
Monoeri.
Monoeri.
Oh no. No, not this news. I don't want to talk about this.
So a while back at our local anime club, we showed one of the first times we had ever canceled a show halfway through an episode.
The first episode.
The first episode.
Oh, jeez.
We decided back then, hey everyone, let's watch Mina Espadayo.
Oh.
Yeah, you remember that.
And
I
everyone
wasn't.
who
I
was
wasn't
there-
actually here that night, but I tried to watch that and had to shut it off halfway through as well.
Yeah, it's-
just on my own viewing.
It was horrible, and you know what's worse about it? They're doing a second series.
Oh my god.
She had graduated to Pat Labor. She did the Pat Labor films. They were wonderful. It looked like her career was going somewhere that was not Mina Espadayo again.
Actually, it's kind of funny that we're talking about that show because the male lead, I was just talking about him in my column last week because he was also in Holic Drama. And he's going to be in the upcoming Bakuman movie as one of the rival artists.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I'm pretty excited.
That is good.
Okay.
Anyway.
Let's see. Other fun news. In mixed idol groups, which there are very few of, and I can only think of one really, and that's Dream 5. They're an AVEX group that is known for the work they've done with a certain anime called Yokai Watch. Some of you may be familiar with the Yokai Taiso that took Japan by storm last year.
Oh my
There's
God,
a
I remember
second
that.
verse out, and second version. It's been released. So you can go and find your new earworm for the rest of 2015.
I just want you to know that I hate you right now.
Inside of Jim's head right now sounds a lot like yo daddy yo daddy yo daddy yo daddy yo kai daddy kan daddy dan kan kai kai ki ki koi koi kai kai koi koi yo kai wachichi.
All right. On that positive note, we definitely need to take a break. We've been going at this for quite a while. So thank you, Jeanie. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we're back, and we are joined by Phil Thomas and, once again,
Z.
So we're going to be talking about what today, Phil?
Avengers Age of Ultron.
Ooh.
5. No, 6.
Staffu.
Okay.
So, you are our resident Marvel guru. So, what do you have to say about it so far?
Well, Avengers Age of Ultron, Definitely a very good movie. They picked it up right away with the action, showing the Avengers as less a team thrown together in response to something, and a team that has clearly been working together for a while. Their movie opens, they're taking on a Hydra base, and the dialogue, it sounds like this is something they've done before. You know, they've been mopping up Hydra in the wake of Captain America, the Winter Soldier, along with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which has touched on that quite a bit as well. Actually, fun fact about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the pre-movie tie-in, the intel for where that base was came from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
You know, that annoyed me to no end. And I watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., so I can say, hey, okay, cool. But if you're not...
If you weren't watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., it's just kind of in media res.
Yeah, and also, spoiler-tastic, there's a group called the Inhumans.
Mm-hmm.
Here, spoiler, they're the mutants.
Yeah, since Fox has the rights to the X-Men and actual mutants.
So, and of course, you didn't understand where these guys come from unless you've seen Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I mean, you know that in 2018, I think, there's going to be an Inhumans movie, but other than that, you know...
There's an Inhumans movie in 2018?
It's either 2018 or 2019.
Yes, try to keep up.
I did not know that.
As part of the setup to Avengers Infinity War, Part 1 and 2, they're going to be doing Inhumans.
Huh.
It's part of Phase 3.
Well then.
So, if I'm correct, this was Joss Whedon's last film?
This is Joss Whedon's last movie for Disney and Marvel. I think he's staying on with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I was curious because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has been the glue that is this glue and preview for all of the movies. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah, they're basically what Disney and Marvel have done is they were like, we know we're tying our movies together. We've shown that, but now we really want to be able to pull stories together and show how this is connected to the rest of the world who aren't heavily involved in what the superheroes are doing. And that's a lot of what they've been done with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which despite its incredibly slow start in season 1, which was a holding pattern until they could get to Cap 2, it's unfortunate. They should have started airing it much later.
Yeah.
So they didn't have as much filler in there.
Oh, the beginning, I couldn't sit through the beginning of that series. I wish I had to go back and watch it.
It's difficult to sit through. I've been told that if you can actually sit and marathon it on Netflix, it goes much easier, and it does.
No, it doesn't.
No, I found it easier on Netflix. But.
So I have a question for you. Watching the movie, did it feel like, to me it felt like been there, done that, got the merit badge for quite a bit of the movie?
For parts of it, yes. They're definitely, the end also, I think, felt a little rushed and disjointed. Like they were trying to cram maybe a little too much in there, or they had other stuff they wanted to put in there that would have made the pacing better. They had to cut. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But apart from that, it does have a little bit of we're the Avengers. We've saved the world from major event before. Here we are doing it again.
Because I was watching the movie when I saw it, and I'm like, oh, cool, I'm watching the opening scene. It was great. That opening combat sequence was amazing.
Oh, yeah. Yes. That was a fantastic combat sequence.
Language, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was...
I'm glad they set that up and they kept referencing it for the rest of the movie.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a very Whedon moment, I'll say that.
But, I mean, it felt formulaic.
Well, of course it felt formulaic.
No. I mean, Phil, you'll probably understand what I'm talking about. So you've got we're the team. Something happens, we fall apart.
Something else happens, we come back together, save the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt like at a certain point I knew exactly what was going to happen, and it was really kind of disappointing.
To an extent, yes, you definitely got that feeling of where you're like, oh, okay, I know what's going to happen. I mean, you know that it's going to end with the Avengers saving the day.
Oh, yeah, I mean...
But you kind of knew a little bit how. I mean, they even kind of had Tony doing here's the big doomsday thing that I'm squaring off against alone.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was my only real gripe about the movie it was like, let's take the first movie, change the scenario, and...
Same thing.
Use the same formula. So I do have a question for you. See, you and Phil here.
Yes.
What did you think of the portrayal of the Hulk and Black Widow.
Okay, I'll start with this by saying I honestly didn't notice anything amiss originally. They had set it up pretty subtly in the first movie, and they went pretty well with it during this one, but the scene about 2/3 of the way in with the two of them conversing, which is basically considered wide and large to be the breaking moment for Black Widow, I didn't see anything wrong with that in that moment. It was only on further reflection that I thought, hey, this is probably not the work of the same writer who wrote the last, hour of screenplay.
Throughout like the movie, when they initially had Hulk and Black Widow at the end of that first scene where they first bring up the lullaby, I was like, okay, they need some way to get the Hulk to de-Hulk. Black Widow is assassin, spy, a highly accomplished liar, seductress. Like, who else is gonna do it? Cap? I mean,
well, he is wide enough. They could probably hug and get pretty. Yeah.
Yeah, he'll hug it out of the Hulk.
Yeah.
You in Podcastia cannot see my face right now. I am holding my
I'm
hands
amazed.
over my face
That's a really
and
good
shaking
microphone
my head.
that it can hear you through your face palm. That's pretty cool.
Yes.
Okay, but anyway.
But later on, when they're doing a lot more with the flashbacks for Widow, as well as that final scene, that bit where she and Bruce are talking. I didn't have a huge issue with it. That's probably going to be considered unpopular opinion to those who listen, because I know that it caused a lot of outrage. But
outrage on the internet?
I know.
Heavens no.
Insanity.
You know what,
Anyway.
Phil? I'm going to agree with you. I actually thought the whole sequence with Black Widow's backstory and her and this relationship with Bruce was actually very well done, and I thought it actually gave depth to Black Widow that was missing. I was like, and I heard about the internet uproar, and I'm like, no, you're turning her into a human being, not a two-dimensional character.
Yeah.
I think what people wanted is they wanted in order to graduate from the Red Room program that conditioned her and trained her, I had to execute my entire family, is what people I think wanted, and they didn't get what they wanted, so
Okay,
they decided it was weakening the character and making her a weaker, and making her, instead of a strong woman, a weaker woman.
See,
Now,
I can say this,
yeah.
and then I'll let you go, Z.
Okay.
Taking any life changes you in many regards. You get very cold. You
have to.
There's a part of your soul that's ripped out when you take a life, and it's you know this, and when you first find out or you first do it, this dark spot, and it does harden you in many regards, because it doesn't matter if you're killing your parents, you're killing any other spy or assassin, you're still taking a life. That is not going to make you a weaker character if it's your parents or not.
Exactly.
If you do your parents in, do you know what that's going to do to you? That's not going to make you stronger. If you're forced to execute your family, do you know what that makes you?
Psychopath?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I found it rather just for a PG movie. I think it was
PG-13.
PG-13, yeah.
I still found it rather rough. I thought it was very well done, but I found it rough. It's one of the few times I can say I liked something Joss Whedon did.
See,
From him, that says a lot.
that is actually where the core of my issue lies, in that this felt just a little bit jarring from the remainder of the movie. That is my sole complaint about the scene, isn't that it was altering the character, because let's be honest, what was it? Frank Miller had a hand in not Scarlet Witch, Black Widow at one point, didn't he? Frank Miller, I think.
I think maybe at one point he was writing.
Yeah, so we all know where that's going to lead her. But the thing is, I do a little bit of fiction writing on my own, and I read a lot of fiction, and what I've seen out of that scene compared to the entire rest of the movie almost felt like there was somebody completely different writing it. It just did not feel like it fit in with the remainder of the movie. It almost felt like it was written by committee, and Joss was just filling in a couple of lines here and there. But that's just my take on it. Maybe other people see it differently. I mean, the content of the scene, that's just how it goes. But the execution, that's where I had my issues.
Phil, you have something you want to add, and then I'll throw my 2 cents in.
I kind of see where Z's at. I don't think it affected her character. Like it was like I don't think it was like a different character for the rest of the movie. You know, I think it was there was a lot more to her. You know, instead of even though like she's portrayed as look at me, I'm awesome super spy. Now she's human awesome super spy. Like you understand, she's not a super soldier like Cap. She doesn't have a suit of armor. She's not a demigod. She is an exceptionally well-trained and conditioned human, but she is still human.
Yes.
I think she's actually more relatable after that revelation.
Yes, she is more relatable. And looking at that scene, excuse me, in relationship to the rest of the movie, being as jarring and out of place as it was, actually made it more impactful and more effective of the character, because we all remember that scene.
Exactly.
We remember that sequence from the film. I couldn't tell you half of what went on in that movie, but I remember that sequence. And walking away from a movie, if you can remember one sequence as vividly as I do, and probably Phil does and you do, that is actually good cinema storytelling. Because you've created something that stands out inside that goes, whoa, she's a real person. And it changes your entire paradigm, which means you did a good job as a writer and as a producer and as a director.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll tell you exactly where that scene happened for me. Back in The Winter Soldier, when she was trying to hook Cap up.
Well, what about that girl from accounting?
Yeah.
Sherry?
Yeah,
the eyebrow piercing? Yeah.
Okay, that's
See,
a
that
little too
didn't.
much for me.
See that didn't add much to her character for me. That just made that wasn't changing my opinion of her or changing my look at her. That was okay. This is Black Widow being Black Widow, like she was in the Avengers, like she was in Iron Man 2.
Yeah.
But Hawkeye was another character, and we were almost out of time.
I really wish we could get into Hawkeye, because he is definitely one of my favorite characters.
And I am so glad for what they did with him in that movie.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I'm a little disappointed because I wanted to see the Hawkeye movies. I wanted to see the Aja and Fraction stuff on the big screen, but you know what? This is good. I like this.
The fact that they gave him, they did as much with him as they did
with him. Yes.
They moved from where he was part of the Avengers last movie, but he was a supporting character in Avengers 1. You know, you barely learned anything about him except, he works for S.H.I.E.L.D. too.
Yeah.
And he's
friends,
and he's close with Black Widow.
Yeah, up until this movie, he was just sort of a background player.
All
but
right.
Anyway.
So on the gear rating, what would you give this, Phil?
I'd give this a 5.
Z?
I'm going to go with 4. It's good. Doesn't quite hold up to the original or to even some of the other movies, but it's still worth watching. I'm definitely not going to rush out to buy it on Blu-ray.
Well, I wish we had a middle gear, because I'm between a 4 and a 5, but
Okay.
I'm going to round down and go 4.
All right.
That's reasonable.
Fair enough.
So it's a 4. It's worth seeing.
4's still good. That'll get you on the highway.
Oh, and one other comment. James Spader as Ultron, the lines they gave him, he had some pretty good lines in there.
Yes.
Ultron was written perfectly. Absolutely perfectly.
Alrighty.
And James Spader was a great choice.
Oh, yeah.
Alrighty,
I had
we
my
gotta
doubts, but it worked.
Alrighty, we gotta take a break. Hopefully at some point in time we will revisit this and continue on this discussion, because it's actually pretty good. Mm-hmm. So, yes, with that, we're gonna take a break.
Thanks, Phil.
Thanks,
Thank you,
guys.
Phil.
Thanks for having me again.
with that sound, that means we're bringing another fun-filled episode of Otaku Drive Time to a close.
Aww.
It's always really sad to say we're done for a week, but, well, we're done for a week. It's time to go home, or bed, or to work, depending on what time of day you're listening to this show.
In your region.
Meh. So, it was a fun Idol Talk. I'm looking forward to you, Jeanie, and I continuing our discussions throughout the month, every other month, or every month, whenever we want to do this.
Well, and I'll continue to keep my eyes peeled to Twitter to see when more of the D2 kids join up.
Because we can never get enough cute girls or hot boys involved in the discussion.
Exactly. So we are going to be doing that coming up. That's going to be a new recurring series, segment series for us, so that'll be very awesome. That gives you guys in podcasting another reason to keep listening to us regularly. We will sooner on our next episode, we'll figure out and announce when our regular Idol Talk will be on our episode. So there's that. Anything else we need to add about the show, Chris, Sarah?
I like pie.
Everybody likes pie. Do you like the strudel too?
Well, I think now's a good time to recommend that anyone who enjoys Otaku Drive Time can subscribe to the podcast
on iTunes
and everywhere else. Sign up for our message board.
Visit us at otdt.net.
Visit us on YouTube, Instagram, Vivo, Line, Tumblr, Vimeo,
Twitter.
Those are all Otaku Drive Time.
Yeah.
Twitter is OTD Tweets.
Yes.
Our opening theme was diffused by Hans Adam. Thank you very much. Have a great night, day, morning, whatever in your time zone.